College Algebra, Topic 2.1, Rationalizing Denominators. Okay, this will be Part 3. We have roots here in each of these denominators. This root right here, you can get rid of the roots by multiplying by the same root. So square root of 3 times square root of 3. Whatever you multiply in the denominator, you must also multiply in the numerator. So a 5 times the square root of 3 simply becomes 5 square root of 3. But a square root of 3 times square root of 3 becomes the square root of 9. And the square root of 9 is 3. So what we have here is 5 square root of 3 all over 3. And there's no more roots in the denominator. Now here we have a root and a non-root, okay, rational and irrational. The way that we get rid of this root is that we have to use a conjugate. So I'm going to multiply by the conjugate, which will be 2 plus the square root of 6. And again, whatever you do to the denominator, you must also do to the numerator. So square root of 3 times the 2 gives us 2 square root of 3. And square root of 3 times the square root of 6 gives us the square root of 18. Now, in the denominator, when we FOIL this, or should I say these would be conjugates, we're going to get a squared minus b squared. So a squared will be 2 squared minus b squared, which will be the square root of 6 squared. Alright, now this 18 can be broken down into 9 times 2, whereas the 9 comes out. So that simplifies to 2 square root of 3 plus a 3 square root of 2. And the denominator, 2 times 2 becomes 4. And square root of 6 times square root of 6 is square root of 36, which is 6. And we have 4 minus 6. So our final result will be a negative 2 square root of 3 plus 3 square root of 2. Alright, for number 3. Again, we have roots here, but we have 2 separate roots, so we're going to use conjugates once again. So the conjugate for this will be the square root of 10 plus the square root of 6. And whatever I do to the denominator, I will also do to the numerator. So I'll multiply the numerator by 10, square root of 10 plus square root of 6. So in the numerator, I'm going to have to FOIL because I have binomials. So square root of 10 times square root of 10 is square root of 100. Square root of 10 times square root of 6 is positive square root of 60. Square root of 6 times square root of 10 is again positive square root of 60. And the square root of 6 times square root of 6 is positive square root of 36. For the denominator, we're going to get, these are conjugates, so we're going to get the a squared minus b squared form, which is square root of 10 squared minus the square root of 6 all squared. Okay, now this becomes 10, this becomes 6, and this adds up to 2 square roots of 60. So the 10 and the 6 becomes 16, and we have plus 2 square root of 60. This square root of 10 becomes 10, and this square root of 6 squared becomes 6, so that's minus 6. Okay, now next we're going to handle that 60 that's inside there. 16 plus 2, and the 60 we're going to break that into a, let's see here, a 4 times 15 I think. And 10 minus 6, that gives us 4. So the 4 comes out as a 2, and we get a 4 here. So let's carry this. 16 plus 4 square root of 15 all over 4. Now if we split this into 2 pieces, we'll be able to simplify both these terms. So 16 over 4 will be 4. And 4 square root of 15 over 4 will be 1 square root of 15. And that's your final answer. All that this is everything simplified. Okay, for here we're going to do the same thing. Because I is really the square root of negative 1, it is a root. So we're going to rationalize that by multiplying this by the conjugate, which is 5 minus 2i. And then in the numerator, 5 minus 2i again. Then we'll distribute the 3 across the 5 minus 2i. We'll get a 15. And 3 times negative 2 is negative 6 with the I. In the bottom we'll get conjugates, so we'll get we have conjugates, so we'll get 5 squared minus 2y squared. Alright, 15 minus 6i doesn't change, but we do have a 25 in the denominator here. And 2 times 2 is 4, and I squared changes the sign from this sign to a positive, so we get a positive 4. Finally, this will be 15 minus 6i all over 29. Now this one I won't break up into two parts because the 15 and 29 does not simplify, and neither does the 6 and the 29 simplify. Okay, here. Number 5. Again, we have an I in the denominator, so we're going to introduce the conjugate, which is 1 plus 2i, and in the numerator also 1 plus 2i. So, in the numerator we have binomials, so we're going to use FOIL. So, 3 times the 1 gives us 3. 3 times the 2i gives us the 6i. Negative I times the 1 gives us negative I. And negative I times 2i gives us negative 2i squared. In the denominator, since we have conjugates, we're going to get a squared minus b squared. So this is a squared minus b squared. Okay, furthermore, this is going to become, let's see, 3 is going to remain. 6i take away I is going to be positive 5i. And this I squared is going to become a negative 1, which will change the sign on the 2 to a positive 2. This will become a 1. 1 squared is 1. Let's bring that up a little bit. It's off the screen. Okay. So furthermore, 1 squared is 1. And 2 squared is 4. I squared is negative 1, which changes the sign to a positive. So we have a positive 4 there. Furthermore, we're going to have 2 plus 3, which is 5, plus 5i all over 5. And here I will split this into two pieces because we get simplification. 5 divided by 5 is 1, and 5i divided by 5 is 1i. And that's your final results. Here, I have a 4 plus I in the denominator. Again, the I has to be rationalized because it's actually a root. So we're going to multiply this by the conjugate, which is 4 minus I. And also in the numerator, 4 minus I. Okay, so I'm going to FOIL in the numerator. In fact, I'm going to use binomial expansion because this is really 4i squared. So what I'm going to get is 4 squared minus 2 times 4, which is a squared minus 2ab, here's the b, plus b squared. Again, a squared minus 2ab plus b squared. And down here, these are conjugates, so this is going to be a squared minus b squared. There's a square. All right, so let's start simplifying this. 4 squared is going to give us 16. Negative 2 times 4 times I gives us negative 8i. And when you square an I, it becomes negative 1. The 4 squared becomes a 16. And the I squared becomes a negative 1, which just changes this sign to a positive 1. So the negative 1 and the 16 get together and become a 15 minus 8i. The 16 plus 1 becomes 17. And this is your final result.